Hi everyone, this is Senator Chuck Schumer. I fell in love with Fort Drum the first time I visited when General Buck Hagenbach was the commanding officer and took me around. And I learned how important Fort Drum is to both our country and to the North Country. I wish I could be with you today to support Fort Drum in person, as I have in so many of my previous visits to Fort Drum. But I'm still glad to have an opportunity to address you this way. I won't mince words or leave anyone in the room in doubt about where I stand. Fort Drum is part of the very soul of the North Country, and as long as Chuck Schumer is in the Senate, it will remain so. There are two big reasons why I'm so focused on protecting and strengthening Fort Drum, and why ultimately I'm confident we'll be successful in keeping it strong far into the future. First, it's too important to the North Country's economy. You'll hear from a number of folks today who can attest to the economic impact of Fort Drum. And the growth of Jefferson County and the surrounding area is mainly because of the growth of Fort Drum. But also, there's a military perspective. It doesn't make any sense to siphon resources or staff away from Fort Drum. The soldiers at Fort Drum represent the future of the U.S. Army. The 10th Mountain Division is exactly the kind of highly trained and nimble tactical unit that the Army wants to be the shining standard for all our armed forces. The 10th Mountain is able to deploy the quickest, perhaps the quickest in the entire country. And every time I visit and meet with the personnel from Fort Drum, I'm reminded of their ability. I'm humbled by their bravery and service, and I'm amazed by their talent, and indeed by the talent of the whole workforce at the base. For these reasons, both economic and military, I will never take my eye off the ball when it comes to staffing and the needs here at Fort Drum. And while there's no doubt there'll always be battles to fight, I firmly believe Fort Drum is the perfect example of what our military will look like in the future. Yes, the Army's studying the impact of cutbacks to different bases, and there's understandable concern about that. The mindless cuts of a sequester are not a rational way to run the government to the national defense of the most powerful nation on earth, especially in these troubled times when we must maintain that status. I'm hopeful that we in Congress can stave off the sequester cuts to our defense budget, and that we can find a better, more balanced, rational way forward to carefully use the vast resources of this great nation to fully fund our vital military and social obligations. Each and every one of you have my firm promise that I'll be with you in the foxhole, using every tool at my disposal to protect the base. I recently met with the Secretary of Defense, Ash Carter. I told him just what I told you, that I consider the 10th Mountain Division to be exactly the kind of tactical unit the Army needs, and that preserving Fort Drum is at the very top of my priority list, and General Carter assured me it was at his too. Over the years, I've helped Fort Drum secure funding for very important military construction projects, like the $27 million last year for a hangar to house a fleet of Gray Eagle drones, or the contract for re-energy to provide renewable energy to Fort Drum, making it self-sustainable. I remember my first visit when General Hagenbach told me the #1 goal of the Army was retention, so that soldiers would re-enlist. And to make their life better, we needed a club and good physical training facilities. And I worked hard to get those, and of course they're there now. So I've worked hard for new affordable housing opportunities, to maintain the region's health care options as well, and to fully fund the military-heavy school districts around the fort. I'll continue to fight for these kind of investments which make Fort Drum the state-of-the-art, cost-effective facility of our military needs. I met last week with the incoming commander, Major General Jeffrey Bannister. He's a great American, a seasoned combat commander who is well known to this community from his previous assignments here. I believe he is very well prepared to lead Fort Drum into the future, and Major General Bannister knows he has my full support, and he can reach out to me or on anything at any time to help protect the fort. He and outgoing General Townsend know, as you all know too, that I will call anyone, Army brass. I'll fight for appropriations. I'll do whatever Fort Drum requires to be at the very heart of what our armed services hope to be over the next several years and decades. Fort Drum has survived and grown over the past decade because of the tremendous capability of those that serve there. And I will keep fighting for Fort Drum because the North Country and our country depend on it. Thank you. God bless our military men and women. God bless Fort Drum, and God bless these United States of America.